From the great halls of their house, there are assembled three who hope to one day be the world's greatest driving heroes. Created from the cosmic legends of the universe comes our team captain, the Vision, Bill Fisher. Their soon-to-be Wonder Woman, Vicky Fisher. Our Captain Marvel and head flight trainee, Jennifer Skripchuk. And our Batman, the master of tools, gadgets, and all things mechanical, our mild-mannered soon-to-be billionaire, Alan Danvers. Their mission, to fight injustice, share what is right and wrong, to get you out of your house and come out racing with them, and serve all mankind. They are the Garage Heroes in Training Team.
Captain's Log Supplemental.
Miss Vicky.
Yes, sir.
You know what?
What?
I've been thinking about this Sentinel system.
Yeah. Tell me about the Sentinel system.
So what I was thinking was we have the one car that's got the aim dash that's slowing us down. Because installing the aim dash is actually, it probably is easy, but it's quite hard the first time. And we haven't figured that out yet. The Sentinel system is really easy to set up. So what I was thinking was, why don't we put it in the Lemons car? And we'll worry about the aim data information separately. And we'll kind of break it down into a project. Because then we'd have the motorsports video system that we really, really want, and we'd be able to stream it. We just won't have the data inside, but we have the data outside, so we can combine them later. But I think that's a really good solution.
So what does this Sentinel system do?
Well, if it had the aim data, it would have all the data on the screen, and you could see all their telemetry and everything live. But we'd be able to not only record it for viewing after the race, but we could actually watch our car during the race.
Ooh, like on the monitor and everything?
On a monitor, if you were at home and I was at a track, or if you were at the track and I was at home, depends on who gets the short straw, but we'd be able to watch each other.
It's something I've always wanted to do.
And you know what? If you're driving, you know what you can do on the Sentinel system?
What's that?
You can communicate to me with your hands, and I can't do a thing about it.
Even better.
So, if you need to give a wave or a Jersey wave, whatever you need, we could save it and see it on the screen. And then you can have up to 3 different cameras, and it'll have picture in picture. You'll have the basic main shot out the front window, and then 2 cameras where you put them wherever you want. One could be on the driver, or one could be on the rear view. It's kind of cool.
Then we can upload it onto YouTube.
We could bore millions of people on YouTube.
I love it.
All right. Very well. You know what the only downside I see about this?
What?
Your mom and my mom are going to be panic-stricken the entire weekend watching this thing to see if everything's going well.
This is true.
We probably shouldn't tell them.
I like the idea of having a Sentinel.
Mm-hmm. Well, luckily we have maybe 2. Depends on how things go. We're going to try. All right. That sounds like a plan. That's the project. We got to get that ready for the next race.
Sounds great.
All right. Very well. Thank you, ma'am. Ben Dawson, I'm looking to find out what to do and when to do it. If only Ben Dawson was here.
Yeah, well, you've come to the right place, because I am here and I'm always prepared to tell you what to do. So let's get after it.
All right, very well. Mr. Dawson, we have a quandary. We have certain cars that we use on the street, and we have certain cars that we are dedicated race cars. All our dedicated race cars have race seats.
Right.
All of our street cars have OEM style seats.
Gotcha.
However, after driving in the race car, we see lots of benefit in the race style seat versus the OEM seat. And we were wondering when and why you would make the change. More why, and then eventually the when. But do you see that as a issue for people taking their cars to tracks or HPDEs or other autocross events? Or
yeah, I mean, I'm a little bit of a skewed test subject on this, because I started my stuff in a Miata. So even before I wanted to do my first autocross, I wanted to have a bar in that car that would save my neck if I flipped it. So I'm like, I'm an all day dum dum. and a try hard. So I better put a roll bar in this thing before I do anything. And so as soon as I had a roll bar in there, I was going to use harnesses, which automatically aren't going to work going around the OE seat, the seat that was stock to the car. And
Right.
also in my case, I needed to put a racing bucket in there to get my large frame in a Miata low enough in the car so that I could have a helmet on and still be well below the top surface of the roll bar. So those were some of the concerns I had right out of the gate with the car I chose to do autocross, eventually track days, and eventually racing. So I was kind of catapulted right into having a harness and a race seat immediately when I started doing motorsport stuff in the car. But if you're in a car with a closed top or where you're not, having a convertible is not a concern, you might be able to stick with the stock seats for a little while. I would say, in my estimation, it's probably okay to start doing these in the stock seating and restraint situation before making the move into more race stuff. Yeah.
Well, what would the advantage for? I mean, some of our listeners maybe haven't even used a race seat. So what would the advantages of a race seat be versus an OEM seat?
I think one of the big advantages of having a race seat is just the more safety for your body in a collision or some kind of wreck or something like that. So I think it's safer for your body, but also it holds you in place better. The harnesses in the seat will hold you in place, so you're not trying to hang on by this butt cheek going this way and hoping your other butt cheek will hold you going the other way. You know what I mean? There's a lot of kind of trying to manage your body as you're driving your car fast when you're not strapped in with a 5 or 6 or 7 point harness like you are in a race seat. So that's something to think about. Those are a couple of the big advantages right off the top of my head. What do you think, Bill?
Well, I mean, one of the things that we did, like I said, originally our HPD cars are typically street cars, so we'll take those and they'll have their OEM seats, and then we had a race seat in one of our race cars, and then I went another step further and I got to a halo seat, and I found that the difference between the OEM seat, like a standard seat that's in a car, and a race seat, you get a lot more security. You're kind of snugged in there. There's typically better bolstering. Hopefully it fits you better, more snugly, so your side to side especially is minimized. But then taking it an extra step and doing the halo seat, especially since I was wearing a helmet and my head's the size of like the Goodyear blimp, my neck, you don't realize how much muscle tension you'll put in trying to stabilize your body going around turns on a track if you're in an OEM seat. And then again, if you're in a race seat, I didn't realize the difference between an open seat and a halo seat, which is where it's got kind of wraps around your head. My neck was so much less strained at the end of a long race weekend from the halo seat relative to the race seat. So it's just a matter of the seat holds you more, so you don't have to. So you can control the car more and use less of your bigger muscles to stabilize, and you can actually feel the car through the seat better and be more stable in the seat, so you can control the car better. I think those are the big ones I notice. Yeah,
I agree.
I mean, Vicky's always got the seat, and we've had a couple of people freak out when they got into our race car the first time, and they're snugged in and they're like, oh my god, and Vicky's like, if somebody freaks out over, because it could be claustrophobia or just when you put in somebody into a race seat and tie them down with all the harnesses and everything, they start to feel a little restricted. She always puts it the way that tends to make the people feel better is like, we're not tying you to the car, we're tying the car to you, so that you're part of it, and then you can actually drive a little bit better because you feel it better. You can feel the car.
Yeah, you're telling that car, hey, I'm not locked up in you, you're locked up with me inside you.
That's right? Like a turtle.
So yeah, I mean, that's always the tough call though, was like, when am I so invested in this sport and doing it with this vehicle that I'm going to ditch stock restraints and put in racing seat and harnesses, which also necessitates what else, Bill?
Usually you're going to have a bar and something to tie the shoulders to. Some sets are allowed to use like the baby seat restraints, but I'm not really a fan.
I've never seen anybody really successfully doing that. You're going to need to have like at least a 4-point roll bar in the back of your car to put harnesses on them. You can do something called a harness bar, which is just bar to hook the harness to. But if you're gonna do that, to me, that's always seemed like a useless.
It's like a half pregnant thing.
No value step. Yeah, I mean, I think if you're gonna try to put harnesses in a racing car, you should probably put a 4-point bar in there, whatever car you have. So at that point, that's when you start getting to think about, like, is this a dedicated vehicle that's only going to be going to the track? At this point, what's the future of this car going to be? If I need to put it back into stock configuration to sell it, am I going to keep those seats? Am I going to be able to quickly get them back in there? Or am I going to be doing something, modifying things so much that there's no going back to stock? And if that's the case, it's this thing headed down a path toward being a race car, which is sometimes a beautiful, wonderful thought process. And sometimes you're like, oh crap, can I afford this? Or is this a smart idea? You know what I mean? That's part of the calculus that goes into, like, hey, when is it time to make the conversion between driving this thing with stock restraints and the thing I was getting to was airbags. You can't keep your airbags and stock, stock's air restraint system in the car with
race seat
harnesses that are going to mount you hard to the car. Pretty much, you're going to hard mount yourself to the car in a race seat. And the airbag system is designed to work with you coming forward a little bit into the airbag as your restraints kind of catch up and hold you back. And then the airbag is supposed to be designed to meet that forward momentum and push you back. My understanding, not a science, my understanding is if you're just strapped hard to the car and the airbag goes off into your face and you're not kind of coming forward to meet that inertia, it's pretty much just getting having a huge punch to your whole ass body. So you know what I mean? My understanding is
it's just
that's not the
around.
way it's. Yeah, it's just going to beat the crap out of you. So that's my understanding of why you don't want to keep your airbags in the car if you're going to have yourself or a passenger in a race seat and a harness in the car. So that's something else to think about. Is you if you're doing it right, you're not keeping your airbags in there, and that's another big modification to the state of your vehicle, right?
It is, and then the other thing with a race seat typically, if it's really a race seat, it does not have a hinge. It is a fixed back seat. It could be on sliders still. I know Ben doesn't like sliders, but it could be on sliders.
Yeah.
But the seat is not going to bend forward. So if you have, it is a daily driver that you use on the streets and you have people getting into the back seat, the race seat does not help them get into the back seat if it's a coupe. So
it's really cool that you can always be like, oh, hey, sorry, you got to climb around my race seat.
That's right.
No, all the girls up front, man. Sorry,
That's right.
I can't make any girls climb around the race seat, but you can get back there, bro. It'll be fine.
We have our first impression of Ben Dawson in high school. Very nice, very nice. So do you think there's advantages to the race seat for like an HPD track day or an autocross?
I am such a safety obsessed nerd. I want everybody to be having the best level of restraints they can have. So I mean, it's like I said, I've been restrained by harnesses and race seats and the roll bar since I started doing autocross before I ever even went to the race track. So yeah, I'm always going to advocate for the highest level of safety that's feasible for you to apply. So if you've got the resources to have something that kind of become your dedicated track car and make it as safe as possible while you're still able to get around conveniently in something else in your normal life, then it's probably worth doing.
Performance, non-safety.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna. I think you're gonna learn how to drive better that way too. It really does tie you. You like we keep talking about. You're pretty much hard mounted to the car, and so you're definitely gonna feel everything that's going on a little bit better than just kind of sitting in a fluffy, taller stock seat with stock restraints that are kind of not really holding you in that long. You can always fight against them. So I think there's some driving value to it too,
yeah.
But also I got to say, like, if I get in somebody's car every now and then, lately I got in somebody's car that's still a street car on track. I never really find myself thinking about like, oh darn this seat belt, I'm barely getting around. Like I'm not really fighting it that much either. So I don't know how much driving value there is. The bigger thing to me is the safety of it. So that's the bigger part of the equation.
If you're thinking about how to feel the car, two things that are not helping you feel the car are springs and padding, which are in an OEM seat, and there's none, at least in any race seat I've ever seen. I've yet to see one that has springs and or sufficient padding. Usually you got to bring your own like I do, but that's
not enough padding, but there's might be a little bit.
A little bit, not too much though. Unless it's a Miata, then you might take all the padectomy you can and foamectomy. So race seats, especially as you start getting a little more serious, and as you can, it's definitely an upgrade in safety and, eventually driving performance, I think.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
And don't think just because you're autocrossing and your speeds are lower, but your G's can be just as high, or if not higher. It would also apply there too. So
I agree.
You get to whip a car around pretty good in the autocross. I was watching some autocross video today. It was quite amazing.
Those guys rotate. It's crazy.
They do. I was watching one of the drivers that I have a somewhat stalkery video crush on, and he was at nationals, and I was just like, oh man, I've never driven anything that way. But
yeah, those guys, it's brutal. It's brutal, but it's like brutal ballet. It's crazy.
It is. And he was in like a CRX. It wasn't even like he was in this monster car. I'm like, damn.
Right. Yeah, you don't need any horsepower to make that look crazy if you're really good at it. Yeah.
I know. It was wild, but someday we'll figure it out. We'll get the girls some shifting points to teach us.
I am a terrible autocrosser. I'm an okay driver. I'm a good racer. And I'll take that. I'll take that order any day.
Can't tell. Not at all. All right, sir. Race seats, OEM seats. We like race seats. We like harnesses. Safety good.
Yeah.
Hurt bad.
Yeah. Yeah. But also don't shame yourself if you want to try to get to the track and all you got is stock restraints and stock seats. Start there. We're not trying to say everybody should have this as a prerequisite, but I think the safer you can make your restraints as you realize, yeah, I'm committed to this. This is a pursuit that's for me. I did a track weekend or 5. I really want to keep doing this. Then it's time to start getting serious. But I mean, also peer pressure and seeing what all your buddies are doing at your similar level will also have an effect on you. And you're just going to want to put cool seats in there eventually anyway, I think, at least in my experience.
I think that the only thing that I really would say don't do is don't get the fake race seat because it looks cool.
No.
That's bad.
Only buy credible, good safety equipment, from I don't know, there's bad fake stuff on eBay and crap like that, right? Like you can get stuff that looks like it's the real thing on Amazon and eBay that might be fake. I don't know. I think it's worth using a reputable motorsports vendor who's going to have, good vetted supply chain of verified parts.
Testing, a little bit of testing would be nice, because the last thing you want is a seat to shear or fold or crack or
right.
Because the seat is critical to safety in a car.
Yeah, so I mean, buy it from the manufacturer or buy it from a big racing parts place like Discovery Parts or OG Racing, or if you buy a seat from Winding Road Racing, it's not going to be a knockoff. You know what I mean? Right. It's going to be the real thing. I'm just naming a few off the top of my head. I don't have any loyalty to any of these shops, but buy your safety stuff from a reputable place, and don't skimp on the cost of the safety stuff. Quote my crazy dad, who said one thing really smart one time, and many other things, but he goes, I was trying to figure out what kind of helmet to buy for my first time of needing to buy a helmet for motorsports. I was in my 20s, and he goes, if you got a $50 head, get a $50 helmet. So that got me started on never buying the cheap stuff. So it's your body and your health are worth skipping a couple of track days to buy the better equipment if you can afford it. So don't skip on safety stuff, and give yourself time to be able to afford it. Don't hit every track day and then you can't afford any good safety stuff.
Yeah, and if you haven't already looked, you can get a race seat. I think $200 to $300 is kind of on the lowish side.
Yeah,
I mean it can go as high as you want. I've seen $4,000 race seats. I'm sure they go higher as you get crazier. But
they do go way higher than that.
Yeah, so they may, but I do not.
That's right. That's right. So yeah, there is equipment available at all levels, and it's worth looking into. Once you get into this and realize, like, hey, this is something I want to keep doing. This is something that's rewarding for me, and I'm going to keep showing up and start figuring out better safety stuff.
And you don't have to do everything the first day.
Right.
So cool. Thank you, Mr. Dawson.
Hey, thanks for having me.
No, thank you.
No. That's my daughter. She's doing that all the time now. She'll start going, no, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you.
I don't think she sounds like that.
No, she does. She's learned what the word sarcasm is.
Oh.
And gosh, she's trying to apply it everywhere. It's like, oh, thank you so much. It's hilarious. It's not. She's not being mean. She's just trying to like literally explore what is sarcasm and how does it sound.
Can't imagine where she got that from.
It's unfathomable.
I don't know. It's not from listening to Dominating with Dawson.
Nope.